Hi, I'm Maria Taylor, the Manager of Education for Nature Play SA. I'm going to be talking to you about Nature Connection, and I will be joined by Jason Tyndall, our General Manager. We'll be offering some insights and ideas to support you in a family daycare setting to embrace the nature connection within your service. So what is Nature Connection? It's all about how our children can make friends with the natural world and how they can see themselves as part of the natural world and not separate to it. So it's about bringing children to that space and noticing the small detail in the everyday and bringing a sense of wonder and awe to your outdoor environment. There are a lot of opportunities for children's growth and development and learning that come from a nature connection. A natural environment is inherently calming and soothing for children. So a natural setting where perhaps all their worries of the day just get taken over by the bird that just flew past. That's connecting with the natural world and perhaps seeing a link between how their well-being is supported by that natural world. Every single day you walk outside, it will be different. It exists on its own terms and it has a sense of timelessness. It's always been there and it always will. What we want children to see is that they can be part of that they can connect to that. There are a number of ways you can encourage a nature connection within your family daycare setting. Don't forget the power of modelling. Take the lead. So lead children and consider the routines and the responsibilities that you can build into the everyday to embrace the looking after and taking care of the natural world. Might be the small things that you do every day to look after your setting, so that you put things away and you take them off your garden beds if they need to, that you make sure that you are watering the plants when they need it, that you're covering things with shade when they need it to be, that you're looking after the birds and the bees and the butterflies that might otherwise be invited into your setting, that you're treating them with care and respect, no matter how small they are. And it's showing children through your lead that the care for the small things really can make a big difference. Finding nature. So go outside and look for the nature within your setting. What is nature? What isn't nature? Think about what's inside your setting and even embrace what's outside your setting, what's beyond your gate. So going for a walk and having a look at the tree on the corner of the street or the park around the corner or a creek line and exploring what's happening in that space throughout the seasons. What can you hear? What can you see? What can you touch? What can you smell? Think about the questions you're asking children, Get them to tune into using their senses in your natural setting. Don't forget to learn in nature, learn from nature. So the nature you have, use that as the springboard for inquiry and lessons, and then learn together with nature.
There are various benefits of children building a connection to nature within a family daycare setting. So first and foremost, let's look at the world ahead. We want to prepare their minds and their hearts for an uncertain world. We want them to be resilient citizens moving into the future. And where that starts is from when they're born. From when they're born, and their exposure to nature helps them build a strong connection. And building that connection has broad-ranging benefits. Now, some of those benefits include things like curiosity. I often hear about curiosity in children, but it is one of the most beautiful traits that you'll see. And let's look at an example of a feather. And we look at the feather and we can just say, look, it's a feather, or we can go a bit further. We can give that curiosity some incentive to go further. We can say, I wonder where that feather came from. I wonder if the bird was in the tree. Maybe it floats, maybe it sinks, and we have all these other elements. Now, if a child takes that feather, really excited that they found something, it gives them incentive to go and find something else. And then the cycle of curiosity begins from the natural world. When you think of going outside, you always hear something. Particularly in Australia, we hear birds. One of my favourite birds that I hear, and I hear children also try to mimic, is magpies. Now, magpies are everywhere. And if we encourage children, particularly babies, we say, what is that? Is it a magpie? As they start to get older, they'll start to mimic that. And their sort of mimics would be something like, that's my best magpie. Now, you might not sound like that, but children start to mimic those things. And it's a really beautiful thing to see. Another thing about building a connection to nature is things being outside. So if we were to build a fort in our lounge room, it's inside our house, it's our living room. If we build a fort outside, it becomes something different and it changes every day. Now we can just use a couple of sticks and some hessian, and we see children coming together, building things, problem solving. We see them socialising in different ways, learning different cues, arguing, which with arguing comes emotional regulation, learning how to make judgments, learning how to react if someone disagrees with you. And also, when we are put into a natural environment, resourcefulness comes into it. And that resourcefulness often utilises parts of nature that we would often disregard as something separate from us. So all of these elements together, so learning outside, building things outside, listening to birdsong, being curious and then curious again, and as adults we're curious alongside of our children, all of those things contribute to a strong connection that isn't separate from a family daycare setting. It isn't separate from the occupation you do in the future, but it's part of everything. It's part of our hearts and it's part of who we are.